Apple's WWDC event brings some exciting, albeit familiar, changes to their software. Can Google take a hint from Apple on how they do their health tracking? And we get a closer look at what Android 12 might look like in the future. All of this and more on today's episode of Jaydan and Laramie Talk Tech. My name's Laramie.
And I'm Jaydan.
And welcome to episode 12. We're excited to be here again, videoing this podcast. So if you haven't already, make sure to go over to YouTube, look for Jaydan and Laramie, which are some pretty unusual names. Yeah. So should pop up.
Our SEO is great.
Yeah. So go ahead and check us out there. It's kind of fun. It's a new medium that we get to actually see you guys and interact in that kind of way. We've gotten some good feedback on that too.
Yeah.
And so make sure that you're doing that so we get to interact with you there. And follow us on Instagram, Jaydan and Laramie. Again, pretty easy to find us on there. But we're excited to have you back.
Yeah.
This past week was Apple's WWDC event, and we tried and failed to live stream it. There were a couple of issues with that whole situation, but we hadn't activated our YouTube account to do live streaming yet. And then we also just had a fumble with OBS.
Yeah.
So
experience is the best teacher, right?
It really, really, truly is. And next time, we're all set up now that next time we will be able to live stream.
We literally made all of the mistakes at once. So
Yes.
now we don't have to make
And we
those
don't have to worry.
mistakes on the future ones.
And I did make a joke on the live stream because we were recording like we were live. And
because we were going to repost it as like kind of a reaction video, I guess.
Yeah.
It wouldn't really be live, but.
And I made a joke. My mustache is already gone. It took one episode for me to lose a mustache. But
here's my mustache, and there it goes.
Yeah, and there it goes. But hey, Jaydan has a glorious mustache. It's enough mustache for the both of us.
I guess so.
So that's okay. So we have a lot to talk about, and it is going to be pretty centric on the WWDC. That's a mouthful. WWDC event.
Yep.
There was a lot to talk about there. So buckle in because we're going to jump right in. Jaydan, take us into the first topic at hand.
It's an interesting topic because they announced a lot, but they also didn't.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, it totally makes sense.
Like if you go back and watch maybe some of the recap videos for WWDC, they do like the super cuts, which are always useful.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of like little things announced, but nothing like massive.
Yeah.
This year, which people were hoping for something really big. And we'll get into that on like what features they just didn't announce. But on iOS, there was a lot of little things like iOS 15. It wasn't even really like a new coat of paint. They didn't update much to it besides like little software features in certain apps. So the first one would have been FaceTime. FaceTime got some pretty cool features. Mm-hmm. The first one that they announced is portrait mode is coming to FaceTime, which is directly from Duo and Zoom. And
we should have just highlighted this entire section and put in the note like Google or like Android.
Google or any other app out there.
You're gonna hear that a lot. And Marquez even did an entire video on like
why they're late.
Why they're late on everything.
And it's a good topic. It's good to talk about. Like Apple is late because they do spend more time on the ecosystem side of the features. It's just one of those things that, you know, if you are a tech enthusiast or someone that cares about the newest features, you are going to be waiting. Yeah. And it became
for a while sometimes.
For a while. Yeah. Especially when we get through some of these features. Like these are things that have been around on software and apps for a while. Yeah. Quite a while, a few years. Portrait mode, it's been on Duo, it's been on Google Meet, it's been on Zoom for a while. Links, you can create a link for a FaceTime call and then share that link kind of like Zoom.
So that makes it official that you can technically get a FaceTime call, or you can be a part of a FaceTime call on Android and Windows now.
Yeah, because it's fully web-based. So they didn't create an Android app. but they are making a web
Such a half step.
app. Yeah.
It's like just give us the app.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, especially if they already have an Apple Music Android app.
yeah.
Like,
Just do
you
it.
have
man.
an Android development team to some degree. Like,
What are the reviews like on the iTunes?
we should
Android
look
variant?
sometime.
We should, because that would be kind of curious.
I've used it back when I was switching away from Apple's ecosystem. I actually used the Apple Music Android app for a little while.
Yeah.
And that was like right when it launched. So it's not totally fair to judge it of what it is now,
Sure.
but it was pretty good. I mean, like, it wasn't super fancy. It wasn't the best Android app I've used, but it was consistent, which
Yeah.
I appreciated.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't
I mean,
expect anything less from Apple.
No.
They're not going to make it terrible.
Yeah.
So
No, and I'm definitely, that's going to be the first thing I do whenever we're done with this podcast. I want to see what the reviews are like.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we've seen it done before, then it's within reason to believe that maybe we'll get a FaceTime app. Maybe we'll get an iMessage app.
maybe it could happen
I
just
don't
to keep the wall high around iMessage.
I'd like to dream a dream.
You like to dream.
And maybe
Yeah.
these things will happen and we'll have a unified world. And it's all in Apple's hands. No, I'm kidding.
It's not going to happen. Keep dreaming. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna hold my breath. But
Yeah.
it's still cool. I mean, again, SharePlay was another thing that
Mm-hmm. That was their biggest one.
Yeah.
They spent the most
Man.
time on.
that was like basically the equivalent of 5G.
Yeah.
Like the 5G
Oh, yeah,
announcement.
for
It was
sure.
just like throughout the
They
entire
kept saying
event.
SharePlay in every operating system
Mhm.
announcement. I was like, we get it.
Yeah.
SharePlay works on all of your ecosystem.
really well.
We get it.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, really well.
It looks cool. So if you didn't see, SharePlay is a feature where you'll be able to watch videos normally, but you could share your screen, and it could be a couple of different things, but mostly around like HBO Max, not Netflix, but a
Oh.
bunch of like other streaming services. I think Disney Plus was on there too.
Hmm.
You'll be able to share that experience of you watching that show or that movie together with someone on FaceTime.
And that kind of goes back to the whole that to really make these things succeed, Apple has to create partnerships. However, they're horrible with their partnerships because and especially now with all the lawsuits going on, partners are going to be a little bit more wary of actually partnering with them because like, you're just going to eat us. Like, you're going to eat us, take our best features and then make your own thing from it.
Yeah, for this type of partnership, it's probably fine, right? Like they have Apple TV Plus, which is their own streaming service, but they want obviously other streaming services to be supported on this.
Yeah.
So, because they're not going to be the only streaming service
So
that ever existed.
It's probably just a matter of time before Netflix.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
don't
Netflix
think
just won't
Netflix
be on
will.
there?
Netflix recently has gotten to the point where they think they're too big for everyone else. Like they're the biggest, best streaming service. They don't support Apple TV's like conglomerated search, and they haven't ever. They just said we're not going to be a part of that.
So they're pulling an Apple.
Yes.
Is what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
How's it taste, Apple?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And then on Google TV, Google figured out how to get the Netflix thing to work inside of Google TV's recommendations, but they don't fully support it.
Okay.
Like if you poke around a little bit on Google TV, you'll see that there are some Netflix recommendations, but it just doesn't work the same way the other recommendations
Sure.
work.
Yeah.
And that's because Netflix is closing things off.
I gotcha.
So Google can do it to a degree just because of like Google's smart search.
Sure.
But beyond that, like,
It's not an actual like partnership. It's not like a conversation that they probably had
yes.
and implemented these
Yeah.
changes.
Netflix did not really want to be a part of it. They want people to go into the Netflix app and that be the place that they get their content.
Well, I hope that Apple likes a bit of their own medicine, but none of this really matters to me because I don't have any Apple devices. But it was still, I mean, it's still kind of exciting.
It's cool.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, is this in the notes? I don't know, but the notifications, Like the actual segmentation of the notifications.
Oh yeah, the briefing. They
Yeah.
call it like daily briefing or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
That I'm excited for Apple users.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is definitely probably one of the biggest, like, yeah, Android's been doing this for years. And my brief soiree into Apple last year, that was probably one of the biggest hangups for me.
I hate their notification.
Oh man, notifications
system.
are bad.
They're really bad on iOS.
Yeah. Someone tried to defend it yesterday because I was talking to a couple of Apple geeks, and one in particular is kind of like, he'll always just be like, "Oh no, it's fine. I'm fine with it." And sorry if you're watching this because you probably know I'm talking about you, but they tried to be like, "No, it's fine. It's never really bothered me." I'm like, I
get it. You've never experienced anything better.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right. So if you've never had anything better than what you've been given,
yeah, then
and
I guess.
you just ignorance is bliss.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but then I pulled back the curtain a little bit and just took my Pixel and was like, but look, this is
how notifications
this is my notifications
should work.
Yeah. It's like my conversations are right there. They're always going to be right there from multiple apps. It's just right there. I don't have to scroll through all of this mess.
And then it's
stuff I don't
auto grouping by default. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they got grouping in iOS 14, but it wasn't the same type of grouping that you find on Android.
Again, another half step from Apple on that. But this is a full step. Like,
yeah, they're
hooray,
doing like
Apple
one
users
big
rejoice.
briefing if you want it to.
Yeah.
One big briefing of all of your notifications for the afternoon.
Yeah.
Or the morning, right? So
Yeah.
you don't get bombarded with a bunch of notifications,
You
which
know
is
what-
cool.
You know what I think you should do? I think you should get a little closer to me.
You want me to get okay?
Just a little bit. It's
can,
okay.
I can scoot closer.
COVID's over, right? I'm kidding. Don't demonetize us.
Dang it! You said the word.
Dang it! Now it's gonna. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to use the word.
I think that's better.
Anyway, yeah. Just wanted to center us on frame. Sorry if you're listening to the
better?
podcast. Yeah, I think that's great. But yeah, so I'm excited for that. And honestly, it's kind of like there's a lot of stuff that happened in this WWDC that I was just like, I was excited for Apple users on because I was just like, these are things that you honestly should have gotten a really long time ago. Notifications were the biggest thing. But I know that this one, focus mode.
Yeah.
You were a little, when we were live streaming, you were a little like,
Yeah. I don't think I want to manually set my focus. I just want my phone to know, okay, you're at work, so we're going to work mode.
Yeah.
Really, ideally. And Android doesn't really do this yet.
Yeah.
But you can tell that Google will be the first one to do it with the way that they're trying to guess on what you're doing. And
like, well, especially with like their trusted places segment of their settings, they could easily implement.
Yeah,
profiles.
for sure. It kind of does that already in a way with their rules on Android. Android has rules. So I can say when I'm at this location, switch to silent. I actually do that right now. So like when I'm at work, as soon as I get to work, I set a rule that it switches to silent. So I don't have to worry about switching my actual ringer to silent or vibrate or ringer. It just does that for me.
Yeah.
So Apple doesn't really have that. They're doing this focus mode thing where you can like set a work focus. So it will basically disable the apps that you tell it to disable, i.e. social media. Like we all know. We all know that means people want to disable social media when they're in work mode or productivity focus. So that's the idea. You can switch to these different focuses for different types of things. Usually it's going to be work and play. They had another one is like gym or something. Yeah. Right?
Well, I wonder how customizable these things are going to be. I wonder if they're going to be preset settings or if it's going to be like you can, because I mean, Apple's never been known for their granularity in the way that you can handle that kind of stuff. So I wonder if they're going to be preset.
They didn't really get into the details in the event. They just talked a little bit about being able to set specific apps and specific notification settings.
Yeah.
But they didn't show what that looks like.
Well, but another thing with the focus mode feature is that it is going to be across multiple devices. So with your
which is really
Mac,
cool.
with your tablet, if you switch into one of those modes on your iPhone, it's going to switch over
Yeah, which
on
is
all
really
of
cool.
those.
I wish Google's, in a way, their ecosystem did that.
Yeah, which I mean, Google is probably, you could bet that Google would be able to do something like this. And the cool thing with Google coming kind of getting more into Chrome OS and they're kind of widening their ecosystem is that a lot of the stuff that we're seeing Apple do, we're probably going to be able to see Google implement a version of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they're all their guys are probably watching the WWDC going like, oh yeah, that would be great. Okay, yes, do that too.
The crazy thing is Google can do it faster.
Yeah.
The thing I kept thinking about this whole WWDC, which this is a little bit of a tangent, is that Apple does this big software announcement event every year, WWDC. They announce all their software features that are coming for the next year. And they don't normally launch until August or September, around then. Google does it whenever they want.
Yeah.
Everything they can update in a second.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
Which is nice. It's like Christmas morning
All
when
the
that
time.
happens. Because then you're, like the feature drop here.
Yeah, they do
recently.
these feature drops, which we can talk about that a little bit too. But yeah, I just kept thinking in the back of my head, like, Apple does this big thing once a year, and then they're not really going to do big features until the next WWDC. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
because
which is probably why we didn't get a lot of finite minutia details on this stuff, is because I mean, it's probably a lot of this stuff isn't going to come until fall.
Yeah, for sure. Or through the betas over the next couple months, which people are saying in the betas that at least this first beta is pretty stable for iOS 15. But they haven't done very much yet. Yeah. Like, it doesn't have a lot of the things that they announced. That's normally when bugs get introduced.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about that later, too, on the Android side of things.
Yeah.
They're not immune.
Yeah.
But it's also, that's
bugs.
why it's a beta. But, so live text is probably the one that I probably guffawed at the most when we were watching the live stream. I was like, okay, come on. This is Google Lens. And
I called it Apple Lens.
You have it in parentheses, Apple Lens. What, did they name it at all?
So live text is the name of the like live text feature.
The feature, yeah.
But the other stuff they didn't really name, where it does recognize art, books, nature, so plants, pets, and landmarks. So you can point. I don't know if you can point your camera. Did they say like live you can point your camera for all of those things, or do you have to take the photo?
I think it's live.
Yeah.
Because they were showing it like as like they had their
So it's like in the
open.
viewfinder.
Yeah.
So while you're taking a photo, you can point it at a piece of paper or a whiteboard, and it will, turn that into text that you can highlight and copy and move wherever you want. Same thing for nature, pets, landmarks, all of that, which is cool. But this is Google Lens.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I think we might have talked about this. Our conversations bleed into each other because we talk about tech outside of the podcast. But it's just with Google's machine learning, which is far superior than Apple's, that inherently makes Google Lens, I'm predicting, is going to be just a better feature, like as a whole, than to live text.
Yes,
because their machine learning is so much better.
They're further ahead
for sure
by like 3 years.
Yeah. And funny, again, side tangent. I mean, that's the entire podcast, is a bunch of side tangents. But my wife and I took our son to McCall this last Tuesday.
Nice.
Which is just like a nice kind of 2-hour drive from Boise, and
mountain town,
mountains, and a lot of different fun things to do. We went to Ponderosa State Park, and we did some of the trails out there. And my wife asked, I wonder if this is this kind of plant. And I was like, oh, well, and I pulled out my
time
Pixel
to try it. Yeah.
And I used Google Lens, and popped up right there, like just like a little card that was like, this is this plant, which I'm not even going to try.
Did you have
to
service?
It. I was surprised. I was surprised too, because as I was doing it, I was like, "There's no way that I have service out here," but I did, and so picked it up.
Yeah, maybe you had service. I've had service. In some spots.
Well, it's the Pixel 5 too, so maybe the antennas are a little bit better in there. But
5G.
Yeah, 5G coming in clutch, but it worked, and that was a real life application of what you can now expect with live text is being able to, if I have a question, I can just point the camera at it and I'll know immediately.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that, I mean, I'm sure we'll see it, but just not in the same capacity, is Google's ability to have smart shopping linked into that as well.
They're already, we say 3 years ahead. They're already implementing features that Apple isn't even close to announcing for this feature. Shopping is a huge one because Apple doesn't really have a search engine. So to be able to like find similar items for shopping, I don't see them implementing that anytime soon into this.
Yeah.
The main thing that I got stuck on with this whole live text thing is they didn't really brand it very well. Like live text, we were just saying it. Live text is the name of the branding for the text feature.
Yeah.
But you don't use the term live text for the books and nature and pets.
Yeah.
Because it's not text.
Yeah.
So
Google Lens has a logo and everything.
It. Yeah, they didn't brand this feature, which is kind of a problem. That's a big mistake, I think. They should have called it Siri Lens.
Well, they're getting so close to just coming out with like Siri's head and being like, we're sorry, but she's dead. Like, or something. Just because they just really never. I kept asking in the Siri. I kept asking in the live stream. It's like, are they going to mention Siri? And they had one segment where they had Siri on the screen, but it wasn't even the normal Siri voice either, which I thought was just funny.
Yeah, they switched to the male voice, which is
fine, but I still think for the continuity of branding, like you have Siri's female voice in your head. But that was all they did, and it wasn't really a Siri feature. What was it again?
Well, so they did have a big one. Siri works offline.
Yes, yeah,
which
that's
is
what
the
whole
same
thing.
as the offline Google Assistant that came 2 years ago.
Yeah,
which is a big deal. I mean, that's pretty impressive that they were able to, even within 2 years, catch up to that. Like they have a working offline assistant.
Yeah.
That we won't get into much of the details, but I don't think it's as private as Google Assistant.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I can't see the recordings in a simple tool. We talked about this on a live stream.
Yeah.
There's no like simple tool.
We should call it the dead stream.
Yeah,
just because it wasn't actually live.
Yeah, the dead stream. That's perfect.
Sorry, just popped in my head.
Yeah, so like, what was I saying?
You were talking about the privacy.
Yeah, so Apple, they really want to like say that Siri is the more private assistant, but I can't see all of the recordings that I've ever given to Siri. And like one tool, listen to them, delete the ones that I don't want it to have. You can't do that.
Well, do you think
you can do that with Google Assistant super easily? Do
you think they'll eventually? I'm sure they'll eventually implement something like that. Don't you think?
Yeah, but if you're gonna say that it's a privacy-focused assistant, it should be there on day one.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
So,
well, is it alive yet?
Well, Siri is in general.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but
and they've always been saying that Siri is the
most private.
Yeah,
or whatever.
The most private. So.
Yeah, but everyone, I mean, most of the Apple aficionados that I know hate Siri. So they're not a huge
or
fan.
just don't care about it.
Yeah, which is kind of, again, this whole going back to live text, not branding it correctly. People are just not going to use it because they're just not going to know really that it's there.
Yeah, or they'll use it, but they don't have a name for it. You should have a name for like your smart features on your phone. And Google does actually a really good job of branding those things.
Yeah. Google
Lens, Google Assistant, like the smart stuff is from Google and they want you to know that. So,
yeah. But, Google still has some punches that they really throw against Apple on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're getting better with their marketing too, which is we've talked about this before on the podcast. But it could spell a lot of trouble for Apple just because if Google actually starts putting on or taking the gloves off with their marketing, you could see a lot more pixels in people's hands.
Yes.
So, which yes.
It could happen.
Did you look right in the camera when you said yes?
It could happen.
It could happen.
Go look at a pixel.
Yeah, do it. Again,
but competition is good because they are adding some features that Google doesn't have. So we always go back to this, like, competition's great.
Because arguably a lot of these features that they have stolen from Android are probably going to be implemented better
in some ways
in Apple's ecosystem. Everything that doesn't have to do with machine learning.
Yeah, it's true.
But then they also had a lot of love for the for iPad OS as well.
A lot of love or a little love?
Just with some of the implementations that they had again were, and I said this on the Dead stream a lot, was these are just features that I feel like they should have just had from the get-go.
Yeah, a lot of the features they announced, I was surprised they even needed to announce it. Yeah. Maybe they didn't have much to announce.
Yeah. Like the quick notes thing was kind of just like...
They spent a lot of time on it too.
They did.
So they had the quick notes where you can take your Apple Pencil basically anywhere and start a quick note of like a screen capture or actually draw out a note.
Yeah.
With the Apple Pencil, which is cool. But why wasn't that already there?
Yeah, that should have just been there.
And then they did this other thing called shelves or a shelf.
Oh yeah.
I was like, isn't that the dock? Like
dock on docks on docks.
Yeah. So they have a shelf apparently now that has saved split views.
Yeah.
But it's not windows, but they are windows. It's like a saved split view.
So
and it's not a dock.
What Android phone was it? Was it I think it was the LG Wing. Do you remember that monstrosity weird thing last
thing?
year? Yeah. I think they did that where you could pair apps.
Or the Surface Duo does that.
Oh, okay. Surface Duo does it as well. So it's like it makes sense, especially for dual screen devices. I mean, it makes sense for iPad too. But again, is this like we have another dock to contend with? Like I'm gonna get confused, and I'm like,
where did I'm
a
put
techie.
that? Was that in the dock or like how do I get to the shelf?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a weird. It feels like iPad. They still haven't figured out how they want people to manage their windows.
Yeah.
In like an intuitive way.
Yeah.
Like you have gestures, but the gestures, there's 20 gestures to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Or there's 20 gestures and they're all different things.
Yeah.
But they're similar. Like
sometimes it's not very intuitive.
It's not very intuitive.
Morgan, my wife, she got really frustrated at her app or at her iPad the other day.
And she has the 13-inch Pro.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. From a couple years ago. And I was like, what's the deal? And she's like, I can't figure out how to turn it off. And I'm like, I was like, just hold the power button. She held the power button and she's like, it's not turning off. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I would have expected that was it, but
it's a combo.
Power volume up. Yeah. And hold us like that. Why?
Same as the phone.
Siri.
Yeah.
Because like they want access to Siri, but you're already killing Siri anyway, Apple. They're not killing it. They're just, I don't know what they're doing.
They're just not doing much with it.
Yeah. They're just keeping it in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe.
We have Siri.
Oh,
Let's talk about that.
They'll unveil it in a couple of WWDCs and be like, now announcing Siri. It's like,
you had that for a while.
Everyone's just going to be looking around like, wait, didn't they have this already?
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't. Yeah, we should trust Apple. They didn't. Cool. But it's, I mean, still, I get it. I always saw the whole pairing of apps thing as a cool feature.
It's cool. Yeah. It's like
LG Wing.
Prepared. Saved. Yeah. Prepared, your Google Docs and something else or your Safari would be a good example,
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Quick notes. Another one that I found interesting is Swift Playgrounds, where they have...
Yeah, talk about that, Jaydan.
They've had Swift... Yeah.
I know you're going to be excited about this. Come on.
They have Swift Playgrounds. They've had it for a while on iPad. And it was a way to teach people to use Swift, which is their programming language for Apple devices. And what they basically did is make it so it builds an app on the iPad of whatever you're building, but it's not Xcode.
Yeah.
So
which was a letdown for you.
Huge letdown, because that was the main thing that like people really wanted on the iPad this year, is bring us like real desktop level apps.
Yeah.
because now you put literally your desktop processor on the iPad.
Yeah.
Which is
and
a no-brainer, right? Like
yeah.
if you brought your desktop processor over, then you should be able to run desktop apps on the iPad.
Well, yeah. And we talked about this in
Mm-hmm. And people
before.
thought that was going to happen. That was one of the huge features a lot of people expected this year.
And we predicted that wasn't going to come.
Yeah.
We were like, no.
It's not going to happen.
They want you to buy both.
Mm-hmm. And we were right. Yeah, we were right. So I'm still disappointed, even though I was right.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you can always hold out hope that they'll surprise you and do something good for other people.
Because you would think like that would be super intuitive and a great way to sell someone an iPad. Yeah. Especially developers. Like, what if you can use the device and then run the app on that device natively? You don't have to use a simulator or an emulator, which on Macs you do. You have to run an emulator on that machine.
Yeah.
So there's just a weird.
So weird.
You're right there. You're almost there. Just do it. So.
Well, and this is this is kind of the MO of Apple. A lot of the times it's half steps, or what's perceived as half steps.
Mm-hmm.
I think. If you could say anything about this sort of process, is that they typically, when something does finally release, it works.
Mm-hmm.
And
their execution's rarely bad.
Yeah, you rarely do you ever hear of wow, that really flopped.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically if it's going to be released to the public, then it's going to work.
All except for the MacBook Pros.
Oh, are you talking about the
previous generation with the keyboard?
The keyboard, yeah.
That was a flop.
That was a huge flop, and there's still
it was a 4-year flop. They just kept flopping for 4 years.
Well, and
I then admitted they were wrong.
Yeah, they did, and they went back, which is a pretty big deal. I'm still hearing stories about people getting their keyboards replaced.
Mm-hmm. Because people still have those Macs.
Yep.
And there's a lot of those Macs still in circulation.
There's there's a lot to love about the Apple product in the sense that they do take their sweet gosh darn time on releasing features, but again, the argument is at least they're fully fleshed out and well, I wouldn't say fully fleshed out. I'll just say that they're not bug ridden. They work.
Yeah, once they go stable.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that might be another marketing ploy. It's well, we're going to release this half step so then we can have something to talk about in a year when we implement the step that everyone expected you to give them. So maybe we'll see.
They take their time.
Yeah, they do. They really do. And when you're Apple, you can take that time.
Because your users don't have any other choice.
Nope. Again, if you haven't checked it out, I think it was episode 10 that we had Cody Burbage?
9 or 10.
9 or 10. We heard from him, from his lips, that he said he doesn't want the choice. Mm-hmm. He just wants it to kind of be presented in front of him. And I think there's a lot of appeal in that. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of people, even techies, are in the Apple ecosystem. It's just because it all works together.
Yeah. And there very well could be another ecosystem, in this case, Google, most likely case Google, where those users just say, once people switch over or if that's their first device, they're in the same boat. They're like, I don't want to think about it. Just whatever's the next Pixel phone, I'm going to buy it. Or whatever's the next Chrome device, Chromebook, they're just going to buy it.
Yeah.
So once people get in these ecosystems that are built pretty well, they're just going to keep buying the thing that they're being told to buy by that ecosystem.
Yeah.
So...
Well, totally. And I think, it's just one of those things that maybe you don't really need options if the options that you have are really good.
Are good. Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely understand that side of things. Me being someone who's very frugal and I like doing my research and stuff like that, that'll just never appeal to me, but I'm not Apple's segment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not,
and they're fine with that.
Yeah.
Because
they got everybody else.
Fine with that. Yeah.
Exactly. But let's see, what else did we have, Jaydan, on this? There was so much.
Legacy contacts.
Yeah.
That would be really awesome if Google would implement this in a good way. Basically you can set your, family member that would take care of your account if you passed away. kind of a morbid subject, but
Yeah.
it would be a good thing.
Yeah.
If this was just it seems like it already should have been a feature
Yeah.
of Google accounts and Facebook accounts. I think Facebook already has it.
Facebook
for sure.
does have it, because when my grandfather passed away, we had to, someone hacked his account when when my grandpa passed away. Someone hacked his account and was sending messages, like it was like marketing stuff, and I was just like, yeah. We contacted Facebook immediately, and I think they blocked it immediately.
They're probably pretty quick on that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be on that kind of stuff. So, I mean, having something like this where it's already kind of built in, I think it's a good idea. It's a small thing that you don't really think about, but it really matters when it matters.
Yeah. Well, and the way they showed it really quickly is like it looks really easy to set up, and that's how it should be.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that kind of pours over into their health implementations too, which in the dead stream, I was pretty excited about what they had to announce about the health stuff. The biggest thing was the ability to share live health statistics with people that you opt into, like that you say, hey, I want
your family members.
Yeah, your family members. But I mean, all the things that ran through my head, because I used to work in the health field, and the things that I kept thinking about were like, oh, well, if I had God forbid that I have a kid that ends up having diabetes, being able to, because some insulin pumps will sync up to
it's real time.
Apple Health and stuff, being able to see that my kids,
the
what
history
my blood sugar is at any given moment is amazing, or just to have it set to where I could be alerted if it was too low or if it was too high.
Yeah, which there's already apps that do this well, but I mean, a really good example they gave is like people that are middle-aged, they're responsible for their parents, or their parents are getting older, or have health complications. They can real time see their heart information, like their heart rates and their stability. They talked about your walking gait and the stability of your walking. They can measure that with your iPhone.
Just in your pocket.
Yeah.
Not even like an Apple Watch, just in your pocket.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So you could, see if your parent who is getting older, if they have a chance of falling.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's the modern day life alert. I'm sure that it would, there's already on the Apple Watch, I know that there's a fall detection on the Apple Watch.
Which this would potentially even avoid that from happening, right? Because it can give you a warning. It's like, hey, you could have a fall here soon based on how your walk has been.
Well, and that could potentially then notify the family members that are subscribed to see your live updates, which is, I mean, this kind of goes into what we had talked about a ton with Google I/O when we covered Google I/O, is that Google does a really good job of implementing certain features that will make a genuine impact on people's lives
through technology.
And this is one of those instances for sure with Apple, where I was like, this has real life implications for the positive.
Yeah, it's not a goofy, technology.
An-emoji. Yeah, it's not an emoji.
Yeah, it's not an emoji. It's not like I don't want to say useless, but it's not like a useless technology feature.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. I mean, it
has a real
impact.
use case and impact. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was super excited to see all of that stuff, especially with, during the pandemic, I gained some weight, and that paired with becoming a new dad, I gained some weight. So I've been a lot more on a health
train.
Yeah, I'm definitely on a health kick. Yeah, and Apple's implementation of how they cover health stuff has always been super appealing to me. We talk about the certain golden apples that could lure me over to Apple's ecosystem, and the way they handle health is definitely a golden apple.
The Apple Watch is a great device.
It really is.
It's a great fitness device.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great smartwatch, but I think it's a great fitness device.
Yeah. And we've talked about, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but I think both of us, the way that we consider the Apple Watch is that they're trying too much for you to interact with your watch rather than your phone, which for me isn't a viable use case.
Yeah, that's not how I would really use it. No. But if I had an iPhone, I would very likely have an Apple Watch. to just use the fitness features on it.
100%. So I thought that was, I thought for me, that was probably the highlight of WWDC is because, my dad has a bad ticker. And so to be able to, I really hope that Google implements something like this, which
me
I'm
too.
sure they probably will.
With the watch, hopefully, coming.
Yeah.
It could happen pretty quickly, actually.
I'm still bummed that they didn't announce that at Google I.O., but
The watch?
yeah. Neither here nor
I think
there.
it's a little early.
I think so too, but I still, again, you can always hope, man. I'm a daydreamer for sure.
I'm a realist, so I just depress a lot of people.
You are a realist as I read WatchOS. Basically nothing.
I mean, they had a little bit. I'll give them some credit.
Yeah.
Like the new portrait watch face.
That was cool.
It was cool. So, you already can set a photo as your watch face. What they would do though is they would 3D map it in portrait mode. And so your like clock, the digital clock would be 3D over the subject of that portrait.
Yeah.
Which is
or
really
behind
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Like,
or behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In front or behind, like depending on how it looks in the photo. So it's pretty cool.
So imagine you have like a portrait of your significant other or something on your Apple Watch. The text of the time or the day or whatever, it could be actually in the background.
It would
behind
be like
that subject.
in the background cutting off my head or something.
Yeah. And then when you lift to raise up your watch to actually see the time, it would then move forward.
Yeah, it even moves. And then as you scroll, it would also move the time to be, I think, larger as you scrolled. So it's pretty cool.
Really cool. And that's something everyone's going to use. I'm sure we're going to see that on everyone's
That'll
Apple
just
Watch.
be a default way to...
People are going to do that for sure.
But besides that, not much.
No, not much on the WatchOS side of things.
It's a pretty mature operating system. There's only going to be so much really that you can do with the watch.
For sure.
Before you're really just reaching for features. So.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just the way that they kind of positioned the watch, the Apple Watch, is that they almost want it to be a substitute device. It's just not.
No, you still want an iPhone. Yeah. And they still want you to buy an iPhone.
Yeah. So it just lives in this weird place.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, if they actually had, like, if Google had an actual competitor to the Apple Watch, I would pick it up in a heartbeat.
Oh, for sure.
Which
if
not
there was
right
a Pixel Watch, I would be pre-ordering it.
Yeah. But it's not confirmed yet. Well, no, it's confirmed. It's just it's not here yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very likely going to happen this year.
Yeah, for sure. And then Mac OS. What was it called again?
Mac OS.
Didn't they did this whole stupid segment that
it starts with an M. Monterey.
That's it. I just think that so yes, we talk about Apple's production value and how good their sets are. The Dollhouse made a comeback, which is great.
Which we'll talk about in a second.
We will.
Yep.
But man, I hate that they try to make them like the new Avengers, like the nerdy, geeky Avengers. They just make them so epic to a proportion that's like, this is satirical. Like this
I think they know it though.
They do, but I don't
like Craig Federighi, he makes fun of himself all the time.
Yeah.
He tries to be the cool uncle that's like funny, the funny uncle, the funkle.
But do you have like a family member that is like quirky and they know they're quirky, but they push it too much? That you're like, yeah, I get it.
They're those
quirky.
guys. All of the Apple executives, well,
I hate it.
The male Apple executives, they're all like this.
Yeah.
So
and I had a rant about that real quick because I just like there were so many eye rolls.
It was annoying.
Oh my gosh! Like
they overdid it, especially this event.
Yeah, this one because like the last one, it was a little bit like with the whole like him taking his mask off and it's Tim Cook and he's like, ugh. This one was just like there was so many instances where I was like, oh, this is annoying.
Jumping through a portal in the floor.
Yeah,
and all. Yeah,
just like all of it.
Dumb.
Just absolutely dumb. All the women in their event. good job. Like, they're not doing anything
They
corny.
just said no to all of those things.
Yeah,
They're
they were probably smart. We're like,
nope.
nope, I'm a professional.
I don't care if it's in the script. I'm not doing it.
I'm a professional, man. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But so yeah. Anyway, Mac OS and the Safari changes.
There wasn't a whole lot, honestly, of like macOS announcements. There's mainly like around Safari. We're getting a new Safari design, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I think the design's cool. Your screen will be, or your web page will be border to border, pretty much inside Safari, which I think is awesome. And then the tabs, each tab, or your active tab, will have the search bar in it, that's the main difference in Safari. But the big one is universal control, which is cool.
Yeah, no,
really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is if you want to pick like the flagship feature of WWDC, it's this one.
Yeah. Well, bring us into it, man.
Yeah. So universal
paint the
control.
story. Tell us what's going on.
It's been a long time running, which The Verge actually, Dieter Bone at The Verge, he had a really good video explaining how this works and how it came about at Apple. Universal control will let you take an iPad and a Mac, or a Mac and a Mac, however you want it to go. And you can take the cursor and move that cursor in real time, left or right of each other, and move that cursor from your iPad to your Mac, Mac to iPad, Mac to Mac. You can do 3 devices.
The phone too, right?
Did they show? Because there's no cursor.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do the like clipboard that they already have had.
Yeah.
So you can copy something on your iPhone and then paste it on your Mac. That's already been a thing.
Yeah.
But this one, they showed literally like drag and drop. So you could drag an image or drag text from your iPad to your Mac, which is super cool.
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things where you were saying, I'm surprised they haven't already had this.
Yeah.
Which it's true, but it's pretty impressive the way that, like, how fast it is.
It's very fluid.
Yeah. Like, you can take your cursor to the left of your iPad in their example, and it will show the cursor on the edge, and it will be in the exact same spot as soon as you move it to the Mac.
Yeah.
Like, the alignment,
spatial recognition and everything is
the
crazy.
alignment of it all is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And this is all through like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. It's through their continuity features that they've had. They just kind of mixed them together a little bit to make this work.
Yeah.
And
I just hated their use case.
Yeah.
Because we talked about
I feel like they could have shown it off better.
It's like MacBook Pro, and then he was showing it move over to the new iMac, and then over to the tablet.
Yeah.
And it's like,
when they brought in the third device, it was weird because they started with an iPad, and then they moved to a MacBook Pro, and then they moved to an iMac. And I'm like, who is this person that has these 2 Macs and an iPad all at the same time? Like, and they're never going to do that.
What workflow would you be doing that you're like doing on your MacBook Pro that you're like, oh, I need my iMac is much more capable of handling this task. He's like, no, it said no one.
I know.
It said no one.
The irony too is all 3 of those devices have the same processor.
Yeah. So
all 3 devices that they showed off. Also, I don't think we'd have to confirm. I don't think universal control is supported on Intel devices.
Ooh,
I read a headline, but I didn't look into it.
That seems very Apple.
Yeah.
This is like very Apple.
This is an ARM chip exclusive feature.
I mean, depending on what magic is going on behind, you don't think so? You think they could do it?
They could do it on an Intel device.
Well, yeah,
it's just Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm giving them a little bit too much credit there.
But maybe, I mean, it's just the connection, right?
Yeah.
That's why they're using their own processor.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, it was a packed event, and they had a lot to talk about. Admittedly, a lot of the time, software is not as exciting to people as hardware.
Oh, for sure.
But to tech enthusiasts, it's definitely still exciting to see because I mean, your hardware is only as good as really your software.
Yeah.
Pixel's shown that.
Yeah, and we've talked about this a little bit in the past too. Is we're getting to the cap of what hardware will do.
Yeah.
Software will be where the innovation is for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't need an iPad to have an M1.
Yeah.
You don't. It has an M1, which is impressive.
Yeah.
but we're way beyond what that iPad will actually do through software. So they need the innovation in the software,
which would have been something like having
Xcode or Final Cut.
Exactly.
Or
having desktop
Logic.
level programs on their iPads. And you're totally right, because it's almost even more crippling of an example looking at Pixel with their whole camera system.
Mm-hmm.
As like they've ran on the same hardware for, is it 4 generations now? 5. It's 4 generations.
4, because it started with the Pixel 2.
Yeah. And so they can just run on it. And they're just now starting to reach the limit of an old sensor.
Mm-hmm.
So
5-6-year-old sensor.
Yeah, which is pretty old, like in the tech world. And it's almost like that was like a flex on Google's part. They're like, yeah, look what we were able to do.
We didn't have to touch the hardware.
Exactly.
This was all software innovation.
Now, admittingly so, they've reached their limit with that. They
overstayed it.
Google, if you're listening, which I know you are, this does not give you an excuse.
Google goosebumps.
Yeah. This doesn't give you an excuse to keep the sensor for Pixel 6, which I'm still super excited about.
Yes.
We did put this in the notes, but we're seeing more and more stuff about the Fold. So the Passport, which is its code name
Passport.
right now.
Yep.
A Pixel Foldable. Which
this will be be a good segue. So that's it for WWDC.
Yeah. Bye
We'll
WWDC. Yeah. Now we get into the meat and potatoes. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It's just as but this is seriously still exciting, because Jaydan and I have been talking back and forth on whether or not we would see it this year. Mm-hmm. And I mean, well, rumors are all over the place.
I don't know if we'll see it this year.
I don't think we will.
As a purchasable, I can go into the store and buy it device.
Yeah.
I think we will see it this year.
Yeah. Okay. But they only have Google has only ever had 2 release cycles in a year.
Exactly.
So
you remember with the Pixel Buds?
Yeah.
They announced them in the Google event and launched them in the spring because the hardware wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And Rick Osterloh, the leader of Google hardware, he said the reason they did that is they don't have an event in the spring.
Yeah.
So they were just like, we just announced them early because we don't have any other time between then now and then to announce it.
So you think that we could see it?
I think we will literally see what it looks like.
Sure.
And maybe they'll have hands-on with a prototype.
Yeah.
But they'll say this is coming next year.
Okay, so it'll come October next year.
I kind of hope I'm not right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I really want a Pixel Fold. But
the thing is too is that I saw an article, which I didn't read the whole thing, but it was talking about how there's a lot of signs pointing to Google starting the manufacturing of their screens
in October. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
a whole year of manufacturing doesn't really make sense though.
No. So production can take 3 months though, depending on how many of them that they're making before launch.
Yeah.
So it's all leadway. It's all supply chains with everything, but especially phones. So it depends on how much lead time they want to give themselves. If they're trying to give themselves 3 months lead time, that means we see it in January.
Yeah. And which is, I think, more likely than, I think the most likely is that it's not going to release in October. It's not going to release next October. It's going to release sometime in early next year.
And I think if they're going to show it off, it'll be shown off at this event.
Yeah. Which I'm just really curious to see what they're going to do to make me want to buy one.
I'll buy one.
I know you're going to. It's just that folds are like $20 or $2,000.
I'm thinking their target price will be $1,200.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's pretty stinking cheap for a foldable.
Surface Duo was $1,400.
Yeah.
And then it hit a discount almost right after it launched at $1,200.
Because probably not very many people bought it.
Now it's $900.
Yeah, it's dropping, man.
It's a fire sale.
Yeah, you couldn't. I don't think you could pay me to have one, honestly.
I would.
As my main device, no way.
I would as my main device if I also could have a Pixel in my pocket.
No, I'm not doing that.
I would two-phone it.
That's the whole point.
I love the Fold, though.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, I guess. I I couldn't see. I don't know. I don't like.
Have you played with the Surface Duo? Like actually held it and used it?
No.
Oh, so I did.
Yeah.
It was enough to like immediately
Well,
convince me. I was like,
I
I
know
want
that
this device.
The hinge is.
But the camera's a piece of
Oh,
crap.
yeah.
So
No.
that's why I couldn't make it my main device.
It seems too much like a prototype to me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like a fully thought out idea.
It's Gen 1 for sure.
For sure.
Same as what the first Surface was,
Which
was very Gen 1.
yeah. So speaking of that though, that the Pixel Fold is going to be a Gen 1. I typically never do Gen 1s.
I don't either. Well, that's not true. Sometimes do Gen 1s.
That's okay. You're an enthusiast.
But I think this one isn't really Gen 1 because they're using Samsung's glass.
Sure.
They're using Samsung's display technology.
Uh-huh.
So they're getting Samsung's third generation of the crucial stuff.
Well, and we have been seeing more and more partnership between Samsung and Google. So maybe
Yeah. Like this is all confirmed. If it does actually launch, it's 100% using Samsung's ultra thin glass, which is it's plastic. I mean,
yeah, let's be
it's
real.
plastic.
Be honest.
It's very well built plastic.
Sure, but you
But
can't
it's
put
plastic.
a pen on it.
Yeah. But it is made by Samsung, designed for their displays.
Yeah.
And they're also using their displays. So we're getting the best of Samsung's foldable technology in Google's Pixel Fold if it does happen.
Which is super rad.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
That's what would honestly convince me to try it.
Yeah. No, I
Because if
definitely...
they said, "Oh, we designed our own foldable display and our own foldable glass," I'd be like, "No,
yeah, I'm out."
I'll wait for the next one."
And see, so that is the benefit of our friendship is I'll just let you get one and then I'll play with yours.
He just uses me.
I just like I talked to I think this was offline, but I told you that I really do love the Pixel 5 size.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really don't see myself wanting something massive.
I know. I'm in the same boat too with the 4A. I would be really sad to give up the small phone, but the Fold seems like more useful as a device, so it outweighs that large device trade-off.
And I'll probably get one just when it drops in price.
Yeah, which
will
is
be
normally
while.
3 or 4 months after.
Yeah,
which
it's fine. But yeah, it's fine. That's how you can really sum it up. But the other thing is too is I just don't know with all the stuff circulating about the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6. Are they going? What was the moniker that they're going with? Pixel 6 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to give up whatever juicy stuff they're doing with the third camera.
I think the Fold will have it.
Yeah. So
the Fold will be probably a 1400 around that ballpark that the Duo was.
Mm-hmm.
And it will have all of the Pro's features.
And
it will look like the Pro. It'll just be a Fold.
So that's where I wish that Google would take a page from Apple and give me just all the same features, but in a smaller package with the 12 mini. Because like I don't think I can
minus
go with
a camera.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Is that like the Pixel 6? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to give up going like not getting the Pixel 6 Pro.
Oh, you're saying that you would get the 6 Pro
solely because I don't know if I would. It's almost that thing that I'd be like, yeah, I get the Pixel 6 and I'd be like, yeah, sweet. And then I'd see like the reviews about the Pixel 6 Pro having one extra feature and me being like, oh,
I should have spent the money for the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's how I feel.
So do you mean Apple does that?
With the 12 mini, aside from battery life, is abysmal.
Oh, so I'm thinking the Pro devices though versus the 12.
No, I'm
because
thinking...
that's the difference that you're seeing.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
The Pixel 6 is the equivalent of the iPhone 12.
Yeah.
And then the Pro series is this Pro device. They're only having 2 devices though, not 6.
Yeah, give me a small flagship, man. Sony's been doing it. It's working out for them.
Until we get past lithium ion, I don't think you'll see
there's been
small
talk.
Devices have all of those features
There's
just because of
been
the limit of size.
What's the new format of battery?
The one that they're working on is called solid state batteries.
Right.
And as soon as they figure it out, everything's going to change.
Yeah.
The entire tech industry will change.
Well, and you'll have to wonder how long it'll take Apple to implement that, because we know that they'd take a while to implement any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but Android makers will just like be like,
they'll be right on it.
This is our selling point. But Apple will be like, it's the sole screen,
high refresh screens.
Yeah, high refresh screens.
Same thing. So if you
this
want,
is life changing.
If you want some cool like homework or like something to go look at, just go look up solid state batteries.
Yeah.
It's really cool. They're at like 90% of the way there.
Yeah. Within the next 5 years, I think, for sure. Don't you think?
So there's this guy, I think is John B. Goodenough.
His name's good enough.
Yes.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, that's his real
good
name.
enough. Wow.
He is the guy that invented RAM
Oh, okay.
and the lithium ion battery.
Okay.
He was a part of the teams that invented those.
Okay.
But people oftentimes say that he is the inventor because he's the genius behind it all.
Okay.
He is the one working on solid states. Guess how old he is?
How old?
He's in his 90s.
Ooh. Okay.
And he's working on solid state.
So you got to pump it out, man. He's got to get it out of here.
So I don't know if it's him, but like one of the people that are on his team said the last 10% of this solid state technology could take a century.
No, shut up, man.
He said like it could happen within a year. Or it could happen in 100 years.
That's such a cop out. It's like,
but that's how much of a question there is around this technology.
Sure. And I think, we're always seeing advancements in any technology. So to see the final form of solid state, I think, we will see it.
I think we will see it. But it is one of those things, it might not happen this decade. It might be the next decade.
I don't know,
Tesla is working very hard with John B. Goodenough to figure it out. Tesla wants to be the first one.
Man, that guy, he's got money. He's just going to throw development.
Elon's throwing a bunch of money at it, but he knows the same thing. He knows that that last 10% of this formula, it might take a long time.
The exponential development of technology tells me that I think we'll see it sooner than we think.
Yeah, and to expand on this a little bit, this is a good tangent.
This is a tech podcast. This is what we talk about.
This is a good tangent. So solid state batteries are so cool that you'd be able to 3D print your battery. Manufacturers would be able to 3D print batteries in whatever shape, form you want.
Yeah.
So the frame of your electric car would be the battery.
Yeah.
Not the bed underneath the car that it's all built on, because that's how EVs work right now.
Yeah.
It's like they call it the skateboard.
Yeah.
And it has all the batteries at the bottom of the car. Instead of that, it would
just be the frame.
The frame would be batteries. Yeah. So you'd have 1,000-mile range.
Yeah.
Because not only is it 3D printable, but it's more efficient.
And it's larger. It's because it's got more.
Yes, and it's not combustible the same way that lithium ion is either. Yeah. Because it's it's actually a solid.
Yeah.
There is no lithium ion. There's no chemicals in that actual solid.
This is genuinely could
really
be like
cool.
The biggest thing that happened to tech in our lifetime.
It would be the biggest thing to happen in the last 2 centuries, even beyond, I think, planes.
Yeah. Because you really think of the ramifications of having a technology like that,
being able to 3D print your battery technology in whatever size, shape, or form you want.
Yeah,
and it be exponentially more efficient.
Yeah,
we're talking phones that last for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
in the same sizes that we're using right now.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
So, definitely give that a look. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, is we talk about dorky things like this that can just really get us going.
Edge cases that people don't really know about or listen to.
Well, I guess we're kind of asking him to do what we've kind of developed the podcast to take care of, is that you don't have to run around the internet.
If you want to hear more, maybe we'll do a segment.
Next podcast, we'll talk about it. The only really other things that we wanted to talk about was, Pixel Buds A were released. finally, silently. Like, I didn't feel like there was a lot.
They did a press release and some pretty, like an ad campaign, basically.
Yeah, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, I'm not trying to downplay this. We're just a little bit short on time, but really the differences are no wireless charging, no sliding gestures for volume. They just expect you to use Google Assistant to lower and raise your volume.
Being a user of the Pixel Buds, the 2020 edition, I don't see any problem losing that volume slider.
My I can't even remember my Adagoras, like true wireless earbuds, I can summon the assistant. I use that to raise my volume.
I use Assistant just saying hey G. Yeah.
Hey G. Hey, what's up,
I
G?
try not to say Google like activate.
No, for sure. Because you would activate our phones,
our stuff too. Yeah.
Build feel, I guess, is a little bit different from what I've been reading. Just like with the matte texture.
I think mainly around the case.
Yeah.
From what I've heard.
Well, and there's glossy texture on the inside of the earbud rather than a matte texture. So, which I mean, that's typically that signifies lower cost, which makes sense.
Because you have to add the matte texture to plastic. It's not natural to plastic. Exactly. So,
and I guess the sound quality is just a bit different, even though they say that it's not. Several articles I read said, no, there's a little bit of a difference, and maybe it has to do with the materials that they used. Yeah,
9 to 5 Google said that theirs took a good, I think he said like 3 days to break in.
Oh, okay.
So there's a little bit of a mix of that. People are saying like, they didn't sound the same at first, but now I really can't tell the difference after some break-in period.
Yeah.
So about the same sound.
And I mean, so it's kind of funny. Jaydan walked in whenever he came over for the podcast. He walked in on me like looking up stuff on the Sony WF-1000 MX4. MX? No, XM4. XM4, whatever. Yeah. I loved the 2, I think it was. I had those headphones for a while, and they were great. So I was excited to look into them. And the noise cancellation is superior to anything that Apple's got.
I think Linus, because he's an AirPods Pro diehard. Yeah. He said he's ditching his AirPods Pros.
I just watched his video. On it.
Which is cool.
It's cool stuff. Like, like they I guess have a technology that if there's like wind like hitting you and you're using the adaptive noise cancellation, that it'll actually be able to really remove that wind buffering that's hitting the microphones. And they put a fan on him and he activated it and he said it completely went away. He was like really surprised by it. But then I looked at the price and I think, was it $270? $279. And I was like, well...
And I'm not getting those.
So that's that frugality coming out of me. So that we'll skip that because I just they lose me at the price tag. Super cool, but
Sony does on a lot of their stuff.
Yeah,
for me,
they do a lot of premium stuff, so I guess it makes sense. But
they're very proud. Yeah,
very proud. But let's wrap up the podcast with our individual experiences with the open beta. Both you and I have the open beta of Android 12 installed on your Pixel 4a and my Pixel 5, and I think that the beta 2, I've got mixed feelings on it.
He might be switching back to stable, you guys.
Maybe we'll see. I put up with a ton of stuff with the OnePlus 7.
Much worse than what you've had so far.
Much worse. I mean, this is, don't get me wrong, this is still stable. I just have ran into a couple of bugs where I was just like, oh, I can't use this. Like I have to restart my phone to be able to actually gain function of my phone again. Bugs aside, there's a few things that I think are really cool, like with the new privacy. The privacy timeline has now been implemented, correct?
I haven't tested it yet.
I haven't actually looked at it.
I read that though.
But
maybe not fully, but
I think it's in. But I will say that the things that are kind of driving me crazy right now, I'll just start with the bad real quick, personally, or the color implementation, which I know it can't be the final.
No, it's not.
Because we're in a beta.
And this is the second one.
Yeah, so. This is the second beta.
It's actually the first one of the color implementation.
Yes, it is, and it's bad. So they need to fix it. But because someone who cares about aesthetics like me, I'm like, fix this. But the animations are still like ridiculously smooth. I love it. The tiles that they put in for Google Pay makes me use it more, which is awesome. Like I was using it a ton over the weekend when we went to McCall. And then the home controls finally being where in the tile, so that gives me access to hold for assistant has been great because I want that feature. I know you.
The hold for assistant I've liked. Actually.
Okay, so you've actually started using
I switched over just to try it. And I don't mind. I made my home controls like one of the top quick tiles, so it's just easy access for me.
Yeah,
it's not much different.
And I did find that you can still just hold the power button for 20 seconds and it'll restart it. So if you were in a bind where your screen was frozen, you still can use that.
Yeah. If you can get the assistant to call up too, you can tell Google Assistant now to shut off the phone.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then perfect.
And that's local. That's using the offline Google Assistant.
And I mean, it wasn't a ton for me like in this next beta. I guess it's probably just more frustrating for me personally because they didn't implement the really cool stuff. Oh, wait. No, they did the camera notification and the mic notification now. So whenever you open up a camera, you can see.
You can see that Instagram turns on the camera more often than you think.
Yeah. Most apps, I think, activate the camera more than you think. And you're like, oh, why are you looking at
it's
me
like
right now?
at launch and stuff. It's weird.
Pretty weird.
It's kind of weird.
But I mean, hey, that's cool. I love the transparency.
It's good to know.
There. Yeah. To be able to be like, hey, wait, why are you accessing my camera?
Those developers are going to get a lot more aware. That people know. Yeah.
I still think that bodes very well for Android 12. This whole redesign, I think, has just been super cool.
This is probably the most excited I've been about an Android release for a while.
Yeah. What's been your personal experience with
so with the 4A, I haven't had the bugs that Laramie has had, and I'm going to knock on wood.
There you go. This is made of wood. So. It's mahogany. It's not. I can't afford that.
That's not mahogany.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I haven't had the bugs that he's had. My theory is because I'm on the 4A, there's so many more 4As out there that they did more testing. Yeah. That's not a knock on the 5. The 5's a great phone. I just don't think they've sold nearly as many Pixel 5s as they have 4A. So they're going to spend more time. This is just true of all development. They'll spend more time testing the phones that are, have the highest number. Sure. So.
Well, and I mean, they'll have more beta testers too that can report.
Oh, for sure.
Feedback and bugs.
It'll be 1-to-1 almost.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, what feature did you get in this next round that you were like, I like this?
I actually like the color implementation so far. I don't love it.
Does yours do the same thing that mine does with folders being different colors?
I don't have hardly any folders. You don't
have any folders, okay.
I'm so minimal.
Drives me nuts.
Almost the only icons I have on my home screen is the auto suggestion.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I open my app drawer.
I have one auto suggestion tile.
Really?
It works well for me. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Huh. The other stuff that I use is just like it's always there. I do like muscle memory means a lot to me. Yeah. So I want to be able to just know.
Yeah, I just use the auto suggestion row and then I open the app drawer. Yeah. For whatever I'm looking for.
I'm a tinkerer.
Or use Assistant to open it.
I'm a tinkerer, so I like setting things out, and everything like that.
You can see why I also don't like iPhones because you have to have all of your apps on your home screen all the time.
Well, not anymore.
Well,
kind of. You still do with the drawer.
But yeah, I mean, on Android, you can put nothing on your home screen if you want to.
Which my main home screen doesn't have anything on it. Yeah, like, I think it has. Oh, it just has quick access contacts for my mommy and my wife.
Did you get the conversation widget? That was something that supposedly launched in this one.
No, but I'm probably gonna.
You can check.
Yeah.
So the conversation widget they released as well. So it's a pretty large. You can set the size of it, but you can actually get quick access to a specific conversation with a person. I think mine was at the top.
Maybe not.
Yeah, it is one of those things that not everyone's going to have it right away.
Oh, the one that says conversation widget?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like your text messages, so
okay.
I think that'll change.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yep, and then you can resize it.
Yeah. So then, okay. Oh, that's pixelated. We're not doing that. And so then, this just brings me to
direct access to that conversation.
Oh, gotcha.
And the most recent text.
So wait, you could set that up for like a group conversation too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like they're adding a lot of stuff that really I think points towards a pretty cool release.
Yeah. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, for sure. But with that being said, that was everything that we talked about in the intro that we had to talk about. So I think we're good now.
Yeah. We covered what we said we were going to cover.
Yeah. So that's why we're good now. But it was a big episode and a big hair. I need a haircut. Now that we're on a video. But it was super cool to see everything that WWDC brought to the table. I'm excited for you Apple users. I truly am. Like some of these things are lifestyle changes for the better for you. The notifications primarily. Welcome.
If you're not already using Google services, welcome to some of these features.
Yes. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Although it does keep you in their ecosystem more, which we know that with our gospel, we don't want that. The gospel of Android, we don't. But it's still cool. Still super excited. That's all joking. I really am excited about some of the stuff.
For sure.
Even though I'll never use it. And I can't help myself.
It just has to say it.
I have to say it. It's almost like I'm afraid of the people that use Androids hearing me and be like, oh, you sound like you liked it a little too much, that Apple stuff. No, I'm not smoking it.
It still has to keep going.
Sorry. We're super excited about this new format. Let us know what you think. We think it's fun being able to see and interact with you guys. And again, we're getting good feedback on it. Keep sending us that feedback. We want to hear about it. We want to know what we can do to make things better. And just let us know if there are topics that you want covered, like solid state. I mean,
we'll put the segment put it in our notes for the next episode.
And we need to do more research into some more Google Goosebumps because we haven't visited that segment in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But let us know if there's anything interesting that you want to hear about in the tech industry. And really, Jaydan.
Nothing this time.
Okay, nothing this time. We'll get them every once in a while. But thanks again. Make sure that you subscribe, that you hit that bell notification so you know whenever these videos go live. Make sure that you share with family and friends the podcast. It's available on most all platforms. And
we're pretty much on every major podcasting platform and now YouTube. So.
Hey, and if you're listening to this, go and leave us some reviews on Apple because the troll left us a 1-star review.
Level us out because the troll really did leave us a 1-star.
Which is great.
Did
they say why?
I don't think so.
Okay. No. Well, anyway, make sure
we're
that you
not
subscribe.
bitter. I promise.
No, we're not.
If you have genuine feedback, it doesn't have to be a 5-star.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
So
just let us know because it hurts me a little bit on the inside.
But don't go less than 4. Just kidding.
Let us know first. No. Anyway, and then also follow us on Instagram, Jaydan and Laramie, and we'd love to interact with you guys more. And until next time, we'll see you then.
Peace.